Right, welcome back. Now the secondary hull is complete, I'm now gluing it to the saucer section. If you remember, I cut those little tabs off because I test fitted it, it fit perfect. So I've turned the saucer section upside down on my Humbrol bottles, and I've basically pushed it in there and then brought it down, and then the 4 notches finally went into place. But around the back here, you can see there's I wouldn't say it was a gap, but you can see the panel line. It didn't want to go right in at the back, so I've had to put a clamp there and a clamp on that side as well, because that is the only way I can hold it down, because I haven't got clamps with a deep enough throat depth to get there and on the other side. All I've got to do now is just wait for the glue to dry. Stay with me. Okay, as the saucer section is now glued into the secondary hull, I've decided to start work on one of the nacelles. It tells you to glue these clear inserts, looks like push straight down through the actual holes. That is incorrect. They actually need to be laid flat on top of the holes, as you can see. I mean, that does stick out slightly. It doesn't matter, but like I said, they've got to be flat down and then glued in. I glued those in my gluing glaze, and then using the X23, I've done a rough job on the actual clear pieces, because you can only see that, so you don't need to worry about the roughness when you paint it on. So I glued those in. Then you've got this like little curly piece here, which sits in between the top section of the nacelle and the bottom section. It's like a sandwich. So when you glue that in, you're going to have to clamp that down. Again with the X23, I've painted that as well, as you can see. So it shows through there, as you can see, like that. And then you've got this clear insert here. Now, when you do that, there's actually not an overlaid tab that extends onto the actual inside of the plastic. And basically it's like a V-shaped cut into the actual side of the clear part, and you actually slide it in. It makes like a sandwich with a V cut, that side and that side. So I ran my glue and glaze round. Once that dried, then I put just drop a normal model glue there and a normal model glue there, just to give it a bit of extra security. And then with the X23 again, I painted that, and as you can see, it's lovely and fairly transparent. You know, it's nice, I like it. Then I did the other side, same again, with a sandwich bit there with the clamps, and then laid those flat and then painted them, and with that as well with the V collar, and then I just painted that running light and put that in. Then you got these little plates on the outside which have got to be glued in, as you can see. There you go, like fins, you've got to glue them in as well. So I glued those in, clamped them down, let them dry. And then I've also painted the exhaust clear section on there with the X23. Took a couple of coats, so that's all ready. And then you've actually got the nacelle down. I've painted that from the inside. I wanted it to be fairly transparent as opposed to painting neat like I've done on the other pieces. So picking up a tip of Brit modeler, I'll mix some of my X23 with some white spirit and putting in my mixing pot. I did 1 part thinner, 1 part white spirit to 2 parts of paint. And so far I've gone about 3 coats, maybe 4. And you can see there's a bit of streakiness, but as you put the next coat on, the actual streakiness disappears, but then it replaces with another bit of streakiness. But it's getting there slowly, like I said, 3 coats. And then I've also glued that insert on the top there, and I'm going to paint that in the clear blue as well, because on the instructions it tells you to paint it white, but looking on Trexworks videos, it's actually a running light, I think, and he's painted that in the same blue as well, so that's what I'm going to do. Like I said, 3 or 4 coats. I've still got to put another couple on. Then you've got this sleeve that sits on the back of there. I've painted that in steel, and then the actual decals for the inside of the dome has actually got to go on that, so that's why I want this to be fairly transparent. But another couple of coats of paint on that, and this will be ready to be put together. Stay with me. Right, as you can see, the first nacelle is complete. Got a bit of a seam issue all the way down the back there, a bit round the running light. There I've got a gap issue, so that's got to be filled in. And again the seam. Turning it over, the seam again all the way there and at the back. There, because it's angled, my clamps wouldn't grip it, they kept slipping off. So I taped it together the best I could, so I've got to fill that edge in there. Going on to the thrusters, I glued it in the one side, and then when I put it together I made sure the tabs locked into place. But it wouldn't sit flush with the this side of the actual nacelle, so I had to get my clamp and squeeze it together. But it's dried really nice, it's all glued together now. The nacelle down, I masked all that area off and that area off for the white bits, and then took the tape off. Glued it in that side, let it dry. But when I glued it into this side, just above my thumb there, there's actually a locking notch. But unfortunately, the dome is actually sitting behind that locking notch. You can see that it's more pushing that way than flush. And it's a bloody shame that's happened. I don't know why that happened. Why it's not locked into that notch. It's actually gone behind it. But you know, there's nothing I can do about it now. It's all glued together. I'm not going to re-snap it apart and do that. So pedals of doing that, so make sure you get it in front of that notch, that locking notch. But there we go. First nacelle's all complete. Stay with me. Right, the second nacelle, I've now completed all the work on the two halves. I've glued those inserts in, as you can see, and painted those. I've also painted that C shape that has now gone in between the top and the bottom halves. That's all glued in and painted. You've got the side nacelle inserts, those are also been done. I've also put the running light in, so that's all done. I'll put the top inserts in as well, on both sides, those are all done. I've also done the thruster, that's all painted and ready to be glued in, and the nacelle down. I'm hoping I won't have the same problems when I push it into the locking notch there. But the two halves are now ready to be put together. Stay with me. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, the second nacelle is complete. You can see the first nacelle there as well. Much like the first nacelle, I've got some seam issues. But unlike the first nacelle, I've got a massive gap issue on the back here. Huge gap issue, you can see, especially around the running light there, a huge gap, so that's got to be filled in. Turning it over, on the bottom, again the same seam issue, but I now know why there was the gap at the front here on the first nacelle. You remember the locking notch that sent all that cockeyed? That's why there's a gap. On this one, I've managed to get that locking notch properly into place, and you can see there's no gap there. And the nacelle dome is straight as a die. It's not cockeyed at all. I've actually got the nacelle domes in front of the locking notches, so lesson learned. Also, on the back there, you got the thruster. I had the same problem as I did with the first nacelle, and I had to clamp that together, both sides. But even though I clamped it together, you can see again that massive gap, so a lot of filling to be done indeed. Stay with me. Okay, and welcome back. As the nacelles are complete, I've now primered the saucer section and the secondary hull. And as you can see, the primer has gone down an absolute treat. Now, for the windows, what I've done, and all the clear parts, I'm using Humbrol Mascol. I've painted it on. I mean, you can see on the dome there, I actually put a coat on, let it dry, and then put another coat on because there's a little lip under the bottom of the dome that the Mascol didn't actually get inside, so I did that. But as you can see, the Mascol is worked an absolute treat. It's gone down really nice. I've also put some on the secondary hull windows as well, and it's gone down really nice. That bit there sticking out is a bit of sponge because I put that in the hole for the stand because I didn't want any primer to get inside. I've also masked off those windows there. You got one there and one there with a Mascol. I was originally going to use tape for those, but I couldn't get the tape in. You've also got the bottom dome there and the little windows on the bottom. Them have all been Mascoled off. I've put about a blob of plasticine in the hole of the deflector dish so no primer would get in there. But now the primer's down, I'm all ready for the white coat. Stay with me. Right, welcome back. As you can see, the white coat is now on the Enterprise, the secondary hull and the saucer section. You can see that I've took all the Mascol off now. I basically just used my back edge of my knife just to scrape the excess off, and then using my cotton bud and just rubbing it over, and it came off really well, on the big parts especially. On the windows, I probably shouldn't have used the Mascol. I mean, you can see there that I've got some topping up to do with the white around there as well. So I've got some topping up to do with the white with my small brush, but I've got the Mascol off. On the secondary hull, it's not the best job in the world with the Mascol. So again, I'm going to have to top up round the edges with the white on those windows and on those windows. On the bottom, it's come out really well, not too bad on the big part, but again on those little circular windows, again it's come off, but I'm going to have to use probably a bit more cotton bud and then top it up around the edges with the white. Around the back there, it's not the best job in the world. I've managed to get I've got all the Mascol out. It's just having to give it a good clean up. What I've also done as well is I've also sealed it with my Citadel Purity Seal, the clear spray. I'll give you a good 5-minute shake after 5 arm wrenching minutes, and it's gone down really well. It's gives it quite a nice satin shine. So now, once I've done the edges of the windows, the secondary hull and the saucer section is ready for Aztecing. Stay with me.